Love on the Spectrum is pure exploitative garbage. And if you're a fan, you are a horrible person for watching it. Hold up, wait, don't get the pitchforks out just yet. At the very least, you've been tricked into acting like a monster by Netflix. Maybe this rubbish makes you feel like a good person because you think you're doing your part to be understanding and inclusive. Let me break it down to you. You aren't helping the autistic community just because you watched two adults awkwardly connect while a tuba played in the background. Real help comes from being a champion of the community and interacting with them, not adding them to your most watched queue on Netflix. Netflix frames this as a documentary for awareness, but it's unpure, manipulative, unethical swill. You aren't watching a documentary. You're watching a digital circus, and Netflix is the PT Barnum charging you 25 bucks a month for the good seats. It boils down to a three-ring circus of neurodivergent wholesomeness. Ring 1, the infantilization theater. Watch as they treat adults like toddlers for your amusement. Ring 2, the spectacle of slave labor, where billion-dollar corporations think exposure is enough pay for the people on the spectrum. And the final ring, you, the audience, because every circus needs a crowd. And as Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute, and you're currently holding front row tickets.
Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get back.
These people are awkward, infantile children, just like those cutesy musical cues point out. Nah, they're not. Actually, a Netflix producer decided you're too stupid to know how to feel, so they want you to feel warm and whimsical, hence the musical cues. Now, some overpaid executive VP of empathy at Netflix could argue that the music is there to lighten the mood. They'd argue that autism can be a heavy and awkward subject and the music softens the blow. Bullshit. It's not softening shit, it's weaponizing it. Whenever there is a social lapse or an awkward moment, cue the tuba hits and whimsical flutes, all while the camera lingers like a bad house guest on the discomfort. Why? Because they don't want you to respect them. They want you to pity them. Respect is peer to peer. Pity is top down. But hey, look at the bright side. At least you're a top. Oh, now what would a good sideshow be without an announcer? That hushed, sugary tone you'd use to describe a puppy learning to walk or talking to your senile granny. These people are adults. They pay taxes. They have complex, messy adult lives, just like us. The voiceover treats them as if they were babies. Why? Because it's easy to sell the, oh, look at him, to a suburban mom drunk on cheap wine and her own self importance. She feels like she's doing the work while she's actually just binging a sitcom where the punchline is someone's neurotype. It's much harder to sell the real story. These are people navigating a world built to exclude them, and worse, punish them for being just a little different. Amazing people whose complicated lives are boiled down to cutesy feels moments in a Netflix post-production suite. And let's be brutally honest here. Respectful, natural dialogue about autism doesn't juice the algorithm. Pity does. Ask yourself this. If it was your child or your parent being edited like a circus act for the amusement of people who wouldn't give them the time of day in real life, would you still think the tuba was cute? Now, let's follow the money in Ring 2, because that's where the wholesome mask really starts to fucking melt. If you're on 90 Day Fiancé, you're clearing at least $1,500 an episode. If you're on Love Island, you get a weekly salary and a shot at a cash prize. Love on the Spectrum? You get a free date and exposure. The only exposure I'm seeing is exposure to being used. These people are having their fears, their families, and their quirks laid bare to millions of people, and they aren't seeing a dime of profit for it. Apparently, in the reality show Dump, a horned up 20-something getting trashed in a villa is talent that deserves a paycheck. But a neurodivergent person navigating the complex architecture of human affection is just a subject. And they get jack shit, and Jack just left town. Netflix and the producers, Northern Pictures, hide behind this documentary label. It's a semantic trick. In a real documentary, you don't pay participants because it might compromise the truth. But here, they aren't protecting any truth. They're protecting their profit margin. They use that label to bypass appearance fees and save millions. It's a loophole bigger than the collective mouths on The View. If this logic holds, how long until your boss replaces your salary with a webcam and tells you that you're the subject of a new workplace docuseries? Yeah, sorry, Dave. We just can't pay you for those spreadsheets. It would ruin the authenticity of the project. But hey, think of all that exposure. Now, isn't it convenient that authenticity always saves the corporation money? They're taking vulnerabilities and using that to juice their stock price for the low cost of a chicken piccata and an Uber ride home. This is no documentary, it's a labor heist wrapped in a hug. If this were a normal dating show, these people would be getting a check. But because they're autistic, they're just expected to be grateful for the privilege of being watched. All right, now on to you, Ring 3, the audience, because you're keeping the circus lights burning bright. Now, I think there are some genuine people out there that truly are invested in these people's lives and aren't looking down on them. I do. I think you're misguided, a victim of the marketing, but I think you have a good heart. However, there's two other factions that watch, and they are a problem. Some are empathy LARPers that are watching this to convince themselves they are down with the cause and are better than the bullies. The other half are the assholes on TikTok getting millions of views for punching down on the social ladder. And here's what you don't get. Netflix knows you're doing it, and they love it. They've built a show that provides cover for the bullies by presenting these people as characters instead of human beings. They've given the internet a green light to treat these subjects like a spectacle. You aren't an ally or inclusive for watching this. You're a tourist in someone else's neurotype. So what gives me the right to be this arrogant and flippant about this garbage? Well, nothing. You got me. I'm an outsider. No autistic family members. Barely connected to any neurodivergent people. By 2026 internet rules, I'm not even allowed to have an opinion on this. Plus, I'm an old white dude. I can almost feel the searing hatred coming through the screen. But you don't have to be a chef to know when the meat is rotten. And boys and girls, something is rotting at Netflix. You don't have to be part of a community to recognize when its members are being used as nothing more than props for a billion-dollar stock price. If that were the case, we'd have never walked arm in arm in Selma. Wrong is wrong. And I don't want representation that's a one-way street where Netflix makes off with the dough like a thief in the night while the cast gets alls and twinkling music as a consolation prize. We also need to be honest about the fact that some, possibly many of these participants can't fully grasp what they've signed away. They depended on their families to guide them. Are those families just as wrong? Absolutely not. I can almost guarantee some slick corporate Netflix scumbag sidled up with them whispering words like awareness and representation or advocacy. I'm certain they went into this with the best of intentions, just wanting the world to see the kids they love and know are special. They thought if the world could just see the beauty in these people, maybe people would be more understanding of them. They were sold a dream of advocacy, but they were handed a contract for entertainment. Netflix took that parental love and hope and processed it through a machine that spits out inspiration porn for people who still use the word special as a slur behind closed doors. The families are being just as exploited as the participants. Their private hopes turned into a Tuesday night binge watch. If your version of kindness is a corporate behemoth harvesting free labor from vulnerable people, also you can feel a tingle of doing the work on your couch on a Wednesday night, you're misled at best, evil at worst. Ultimately, who the hell am I to judge this show, Netflix, or you? All I can say is that I see something that doesn't quite add up and deserves to be called out. I've seen enough of this show to know that the way these people are presented is infantile, not by any actions of their own, but by a team of well-paid creators acting like vampires on the purity and joy of these individuals. Netflix are pimps selling an empathy whore wrapped up in representation hot pants. They peddle their flesh, but they never, ever, ever give them the profit. And with that, I'm out. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this show. Do the things with the buttons and then follow me on social media. And remember, live unrepentant.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
That's the take.